When did Johnny and the Hurricanes have Red Red Rock? Dun, 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 da, 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 da. That was about 19... No, it was 1959.
Yeah.
So we got a gig at that time, my band, the whole lot, to go up and play in the Outer Hebrides. And we were called Johnny and the Hurricanes. And the promoter said, don't open your mouth. Because we had a saxophone and a little...
Farfisa.
No, not the mini farfisa, not the...
Only we did that.
Yeah, wrong. Don't open your mouth. Johnny and the Hurricanes. We got the boat at the end of the pier. God's time he dead. They're all these poor, you know, I say, oh, Johnny and the Hurricanes, not you. Sheds now. And it ended up with the saxophone player. McCormick's will appreciate the whole real story now. This is for McCormick, Jimmy. He got a saxophone delivered to him, and he said, this looks to me as if it's been submerged in seawater. He said, Selmers are amazed at it. And Bill Patrick says, well, he says, I don't understand that, but the truth was he was playing it and he fell off the pier. Now the truth is known. I had a trumpet, and I started playing trumpet with this band. And the first time I knew it was going wrong was one night we went to this gig, and he said to me, you don't have a brown suit. I said, that's true. He said, well, I thought you would have worn a brown suit because I've got a blue suit. I thought to myself, well, he's got a blue suit. I said, but I don't have a brown suit. He said, but you've got all these sailor trousers. Now that's the strange thing. That was jeans. Now that was the beginning of jeans. And that was also the beginning of rock and roll. That was the very same thing, boom, boom, like that. Very same thing happened. Then I figured to myself, the only thing to do is get louder than that. And rock and roll is about being loud. In Glasgow, there was a Pallies, or there was an accordion, saxophone and drums. Or if you wanted to be a little bit wild, you had to move out of town into the sticks. And that's where it happened. It was in the boonies, it happened.
How far out, I mean, would you play on the East Coast in those days?
Well, we travelled a lot of miles. We travelled as much as 30 miles to gigs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it used to take about 7 or 8 hours.
But you'd drive there, you wouldn't fly.
Took the bus at first. Took the bus. First amplification we ever took was on the bus. On the bus, amplification. Yeah, the first time it was amplified. And the first gigs we did, I remember a chick coming up and saying, that's a great band. She said, but why do you mime to records? And I said,
through a speaker.
Yeah, she said, well, you must be, because look at that speaker there, and you it must be miming to it. Because to play there, to that kind of crowd, you had to have some kind of mad to go in front of them and sing, because the first thing they did was they hated you. I mean, you went up in front of them. Bonnybridge Miners' Welfare on a Saturday night. The first thing was hatred. That's the first thing. It wasn't any love. Nobody wanted you to sing. The first thing was RM Miners all going. I mean, give them the due. I mean, it's just out of the pit, and the boots are all full of clay, and you come up and they go, and they eat pies. And they hate you. Hatred. Pie eating competition. Yeah. Pie eating competition. See who can eat the most pies. You know, subtle stuff like that. Like a little Parisian flavour.
Well, Bonnybridge always has been that sort of, has always been the Paris, I think, really.
Bonnybridge, I would say, has always been the sort of, and that's where the jet set.
Cultural centre.
The cultural.
I mean, I knew we would find some topic of agreement. I mean, that.
Eventually, there was a trad boom. And
50 what?
58, 59, 60, 61, it was happening, it was beginning to happen. And me being the way I am, which is, well, I was young then, you know, and I was, you know, when you're young, you know, you're wild and everything. I thought, right, we'll go after them. So they opened a club in Glasgow called La Cave, which to be, it means the cave, like La Cave. So we did this special gig in La Cave. And all the jazz bands all went on and played all the thing, you know. Well, they all played loud, you know. They all played all the things, you know. Dipper Mouse Blues and play that thing. Good bands, good boys. So I said to my team, right now, what do we do? It's a crowd are all, they don't want us for a start. So what we do is, I'll tell you, we'll hit them with What I Say. That's the first thing. And they went, and they loved us. Chuck Berry had done his greatest things, and nobody had ever really recognised what a poet he was, and he was in jail. And Elvis had gone to the army, Jerry Lee had disappeared, there wasn't anything heavy. Little Richard had gone religious, and there was nothing there to get the teeth into until, and the first time I ever heard it was in Garbade Avenue, and it was Campbell. We were coming back for a gig, and Campbell was working with I don't know, I think it was the New Beat Combo or something. And we always stop after coming back for, you know, Europe. We were at ESAP, they were at whatever. And he says, listen, have you heard this? I said, no. He says, look. He says, goes like this, goes like this, goes like this. I say, yeah, mama, won't you treat me wrong? Gonna love you, daddy, all night long, all right. Hey, well, all right. Hey. Oh, Jesus, where'd you get that? And Ian says, well, it's this Ray Charles.
Who nobody had heard of at that point.
No.
So he became.
Oh, it was a rallying point. It was right. Like a rallying point.
So it was showing that the thing that you had believed in still had some kind of muscle in it.
Yeah, or a lot of muscle. Yeah.
Was that enough to see it through to what happened in the early 60s?
Well, what happened then was, all the bands that believed that went to Germany. En masse.
Because this was happening in other places in the country apart from just in Scotland.
Oh yeah, of course it was. It must simultaneously. It must have just happened right round, and everybody en masse went to it.
Why Germany?
Well, now here you got an amazing thing. Now you could get psychoanalysts, psychologists, geographists, try and figure out what happened to you. I've got my own thing. Hamburg was like to rock and roll, like New Orleans was to jazz. It happened to be there. You consider Britain at that time was well drab, really. I mean, if you got a fish supper after 12 o'clock, that was really having a big night. Right, yeah. I mean, somebody knew better to get a half bottle of wine on a Sunday. Wow. Exotic. I mean, yeah, palm trees or whatever. But then, suddenly, simultaneously, it was discovered you could go in this place, Hamburg, where it lived 24 hours a day, and you had Fats Domino in a jukebox, and you could actually be in the same club and play with. Now, when I was in the Star Club, in 2 months, I'll tell you who I saw live. I was on the same, we're playing. Who's on next? I'll tell you. Ray Charles, the Everly Brothers, Bo Diddley, the Ink Spots. Joey D and the Starlighters, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, and on. Fats Domino. First hand. And you look at that and you think, now last week we were at East Whitburn, and there it is in front of your eyes. Of course the Beatles had come and gone by that time. We spent a lot of time in Germany. Then we missed out completely, as far as what you would say public success goes. But for me personally, there was always something behind that said to me, being a star is something I don't really want to be, because I've watched them dropping like flies already. See, it's a kind of dangerous thing. It's like saying, we're going to charge forward. Who are we going to put in the front line? So we get stars and they all drop. Well, I mean, you've seen it yourself. You must have read it in the papers.
I read them from time to time.
So I thought, I want to live to at least I'm 40, I thought, then. And it continued. And then there was the Beatles. And then there was the beat boom, what they called the beat boom. And do you know what happened then? Everybody said they discovered beat music suddenly. And do you know how that started? Beat music.
Tell me.
I'll tell you how it started. And Hamburg, like I said, it was like you could say it was equivalent to jazz New Orleans. Hamburg was a place where suddenly you had to play maybe 6, 7 hours a night. And if you couldn't sing before, you had to start singing then. Whether it was unison or harmony or whatever. And drummers get tired. They get tired doing all the licks. They get tired of it. And they eventually get down to going, 3 in the morning, like that. That went on and on and on. And eventually led to what they called the beat boom. And suddenly there was all these people all saying, we discovered this new form of music, it's called beat music. And there was a million
beat groups.
Yeah, all launched. Most of them managed by ex-used car salesmen. By the way, I must make this very positive. Darkies didn't invent jazz, nor did they invent rock and roll. Because if they did, show me an African jazz band. One, just one.
So who invented it?
America invented it. The whole world invented it. America was a unique place. All these people all went there. All these different nations. Black, white, yellow, brown, Catholics, Protestants, Seventh-day Adventists. You name it, they went to America. And they come up with this music. It could never happen in Europe. Couldn't happen in Africa. And that's why I've got a lot of friends, really good friends, black friends. And they say, like, they invent, no way, no way, no way. Nobody invented it. No one race invented it. It's one of the most beautiful things that ever happened. And I'll tell you, put it this way, it's better, a Fender Telecaster is a much better invention than an AK-47. You know an AK-47?
I know what an AK-47 is.
A Fender Telecaster is a much better invention. And not only that, a Fender Telecaster has got much more penetration. It's a better killer. It's got better communication. You see, the trouble with an AK-47 is they're dead. If you've got a Fender Telecaster, or like if you've got a Stratocaster, and you play Peggy Sue like Buddy Holly did, ding, 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 ding. Now, how many people are you going to get with that? You're going to get, and they're going to live, and that's going to live forever. I suppose that's what I like about rock and roll.